Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So after a while away, I just felt like I needed to really kind of take a break from making these guides. They are returning. They won't be sort of every day. I probably want to get them mostly out around the weekends, because that's when most of you guys seem to be active. So I'm not going to kind of waste them by doing them in the week most of the time. But I did want to cover this one because it is quite a special little method, and it's certainly up there as probably my overall favourite now after months of being recommended this. So if it's obvious enough, the car we're going to be using is the Mazda RX7, the legend itself. The livery we're going to be using is also pretty legendary. It's the Auto Modelista livery from a PS2 game almost, well, I believe like 20 years ago now, with awesome cel-shaded graphics. The livery creator of this is Go. There's his profile. If you want to find this, just go straight onto the liveries for the car itself, and it is actually the top rated currently. So for this method, we are using the engine swap, the 787B engine. I do hope Polyphony kind of listen and make these more readily available, or at least that we can buy them. I believe this engine is worth about $1 million, but making them buyable would be so much easier. So we are going to use the racing hard tyres, obviously, as well as the inters and the wets. We're running a fully customizable suspension. We've set the body height to 95 and 105. The rest of this you don't need to touch. I've left that as standard. We're also running a fully customizable diff because it actually brings a PP down. However, I've not changed that. We've got the top speed set to 290. You don't need to do individual gears, but we are running the racing transmission. 32 ballast. The positioning is -50, so that's all the way to the left. Power restrict to 97. We're running a fully customizable ECU with an output of 95. In terms of downforce, we are running 95 at the front, 360 at the back, and then just on the more upgraded side, we're running racing slotted discs and racing brake pads, as well as a racing clutch and flywheel. So not much to really change or tune in this one. So in terms of the event, this is for the newbies. It's in Europe. We're going to head over to the 24-hour Le Mans circuit, and then it's the World Touring Car 700. It's the one with the maximum reward. That's more than the others, obviously, and then just go ahead and enter that event. So I found the best way to run this is just leave it at fuel mix 1 to begin with. You've got insane power. You'll be hitting nearer 200 miles an hour down the straight. You'll easily just fly past the AI. It's up to you what difficulty you want to leave them on. You're going to basically wipe the floor with them anyway. However, I recommend easy purely because it helps out towards the end of this run in kind of just saving you a bit of time, and basically you don't have to do that extra lap. In terms of clean race bonus, the only way you're going to lose it is by basically overtaking during yellow flags. You will see them more often here than any of the other two events. That's mainly because of the weather. So if you are ever kind of doing an early pit stop and you see the AI spinning around in the wet or something, you will see it quite often. Just be aware and try not to overtake if there is a yellow flag out, because that is the only current thing that will kind of get rid of that clean race bonus. So what are the kind of main draws for this car and this engine swap? Well, mainly that's going to be its fuel consumption. Obviously the top speed, that's kind of obvious. As you can see, we're hitting nearly 200 already. In fact, we are. The main thing though for me is pretty much the fuel consumption. It's absolutely incredible. You will only have to pit once, and that's mainly because of tyres. Obviously if it does rain, you'll have to pit more, or maybe less. It totally depends. You may be able to get away with one pit stop. It did absolutely hammer it down for a lot of this event for me. However, I did not bother with any tyre changes. I basically just waited it out because I knew the car had insane pace. So I kind of spent a few laps just kind of crawling around. And then after that, it was basically, while the track was drying out, I was much quicker than everyone else. Obviously they got on to inters, so I kind of took advantage of that, and as you can see, we're already about to get in the lead past the AI, so that just shows you how fast this thing is. After that though, I fully recommend just turning the engine down to fuel mix 6 to save your fuel even more, and this kind of helps for more longer runs and requires you to do less pit stops. The tyres will actually wear before the fuel runs out, so that's the main thing you really need to watch in this with this car whilst running this event, is the tyre wear, not the fuel. On lap 2, as always, I fully recommend just starting to keep your eye on the weather radar, zoom it out as much as you can, because you will more than likely get rain at this Le Mans event. Sometimes you do get clean runs. It's a lot more common than it used to be. It was very, very rare back in, when the game, when that event was first released. However, it's kind of a lot more common now, but do kind of keep your eye on the weather radar. As you can see a little later on in lap 2, we did see some rain coming, and this rain seemed to hang around a lot more than it used to. Kind of hung around for the majority of the kind of sort of early to mid race before going away towards the end. The track does dry out very quickly, but I kind of watch how it's forming to see if it's worth kind of stopping out or pitting in and getting on those inters. So as you can see by lap 3, the rain did start coming down. However, I could see it was quite broken up, so I didn't have to kind of overthink what was going to happen. The rain wasn't too bad for this downpour. However, when I did go to pit for fresh hards, that's kind of when it went a little bit wrong, in terms of there was a huge rain formation that could have really affected my race. However, with the amount of power we've got and the fuel usage and the fact that we don't have to pit half as much as the AI, meant I could really just hang around and just crawl around while the rain came, knowing that the track will dry out very, very quickly. So there was no real problems there. I could have turned the engine up to kind of go to the end, but with the rain I kind of wanted to keep it at lean to stop the tyres spinning. So at the end of lap 3, I went for my first pit stop, mainly because of the tyres, not because of the fuel or anything. I would have kept out if the tyres were a little bit better. Obviously update 1.20 brought in the increased tyre deg and damage, and it does make a massive kind of difference to how these cars are ran now. Whereas before you could have probably sat on the hards the whole race, you can't really do that anymore. So all we're going to do is basically put a new set of tyres on and fill the car to full. That'll be good enough to go to the end on the fuel. Tyre wise, it was a bit risky. I did feel like, when I went into the pits, according to the radar, there wasn't all this rain coming. However, you will see when we finally do leave the pits, there's a huge rain formation and it's a little bit backfiery, but it is what it is. I did manage to kind of hold out and just kind of crawl around on the hards of the AI, obviously taking extra pit stops to be able to get onto the inters, which I will show you a little bit later. They were kind of caught out as well. So it wasn't kind of too harsh on me this time. Luckily there was kind of past the pit as the rain started to really come down, so they didn't really bother pitting for the inters. As you can see, it was still currently dry at that point. However, this big rain formation did finally come around about halfway through lap 4. So at this point I know it's basically crawling around time, but it is what it is. The AI again were kind of caught out. They won't get to pit until lap 5. We are basically just going to wait it out, because although it was quite a lot of heavy rain, it was quite quick to kind of shift over, and there was a few kind of breakages in it, with a little bit more to come after the big formation. So it is what it is. It doesn't really matter, especially with the AI getting caught out. If it does rain here, it's pretty much a guaranteed win, and it does kind of allow you to do your stop and wait at the end, because you will absolutely gap the AI by a ridiculous margin. That's why I do recommend easy for this event. So as you can see on lap 5, we are basically just crawling around, keeping it as high gear. We haven't got much control under the car because it's pretty much near heavy wet. However, the rain has broken up. But this is going to kind of work in our favour, because the AI are mostly going to box in. Pretty much all of them did. And they're going to go on to intermediates. Now, the good thing is, with the rain stopping and how quickly this track dries up, they're going to be basically crawling around on inters. Although they'll kind of work for them, they won't be as effective as they should really be. And when it gets to dry weather, we're able to just go max power and just sprint all the way to the end and absolutely just gap the AI. So as you can see by lap 6, it's pretty much in dry weather territory. The AI is still hanging around on the inters. The rain's gone, so we're just going to turn the engine up and sprint all the way to the finish line. However, you will see we're not actually going to cross it. This will save us basically doing an extra lap and save us a couple of minutes in the process. Although, we could have really done a lap. I'm a bit lazy, and if it means I can cut my time off and earn a bit more money, a little bit quicker, then I'm not really too bothered by it. So as you can see, we're just going to round the last few corners, just double checking the time. As you can see, you know, the gap's not quite up to date. However, we've got enough time to kind of just park up at the finish line without the AI basically beating us across the line. So we're just going to park up and let the time count down, and as soon as it ticks down, we're just going to sprint, rev up and go across the finish line. So first place nice and easy in almost the exact 30-minute mark. So the rain did kind of affect our fastest lap. We did it on a lap 2, which was a 4:16.860. However, our opening lap was a 4:09. Obviously, the engine was turned down on lap 2, but for some reason, Le Mans doesn't count your opening lap, which is really kind of weird, but it is what it is. We did it within just over the 30-minute mark. It's 825k. Very, very easy, and Le Mans does allow you to use a lot of different cars, but this is definitely the current standout in my opinion. So there we go. After months of being asked to basically cover the 787B engine swap, we finally did it. And it's 100% one of the probably most efficient methods for Le Mans. It kind of makes a lot of other methods, I guess, irrelevant. But then again, not a lot of people were kind of around at the engine swap kind of glitch era, I want to call it. But, you know, it's gone now. However, you can still get these engine swaps very rarely from the roulette tickets. So if you do have one lying around, or you know you do earn one, go ahead, put it in the RX7 and earn yourself some very easy cash. Big shout out to our channel members. Thank you so much for your continued support. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Turn those notifications on because it really does help me. I upload content every day. Money guides are back. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers guys. Peace.